Welcome along to the Wise Men Say podcast, a special edition of the Wise Men Say podcast. We're at the Beacon of Light, and we're about to interview Sir Bob Murray. So I'm with Richard and Jack, and got all of our notes. I'm excited to speak to him about Ghostbusters and, Groundhog. What are you looking at me like for?
What's Bill Murray?
Bill Murray?
You haven't prepped questions, have you?
So all of my questions about the films.
Yeah.
Who's Bob Murray?
You built this.
All right, Bob. So I'm looking forward to asking Bob Murray about this and about all the other things that he's done. Are you excited as well?
I am. I type in his name on the computer just now when we signed in, and I got his name wrong and spelled Boob Murray. Luckily it didn't print out because I changed it before I printed.
Any mishaps from you, Jack?
No, all went well for me actually. It was long before my time, so I'll have to see if I know him quite well.
Well, contrary to my joke of an intro, I'm very familiar with Sir Bob and all of the work he did for Sunderland Football Club in the area, so I'm very much looking forward to speaking to him about the stadium, about his time as owner and chairman of Sunderland Football Club, and about, of course, the book I'd Do It All Again, which is being released recently for the benefit of the Foundation of Light. Over to us now, I think, is how it's going to work.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Sir Bob.
My pleasure.
Thanks for inviting us down here. It's this magnificent facility that never gets not awe-inspiring as we walk in. And usually we're walking in to play football.
Well, I did last night. I played football here last night. I'm looking a bit more fresh than I was, shall I say, after I ran for an hour last night in my emergency boots. But
everybody that walks in that door goes, wow. There's a wow factor.
That's amazing.
You still get that now. How many 4 years on since it was opened. So here to talk about your book, I'd Do It All Again, which is helpfully here in case we've forgotten the title. That's a labour of love for you, and how did it kind of come about?
Well, people's been going on to me. I've had quite a full life. It's been very diverse, not just football, and and my humble beginnings. So people have been pressuring me to do a book. They've been joking. They said, you should do a book. And then obviously the opportunity came to raise all the money for the charity, because we'd like to raise a 6-figure sum for the charity here. So that was a big driver as well. So about 2018, that long ago, 5 years, we started to work on a book with Leslie, and we got a hold of Lance Hardy. Lance was a Sunderland fanatic and also Match of the Day. And so one of the good things about Lance, he knew Sunderland and what it meant, and we didn't have to induct a writer into Sunderland Football Club, and he's very eminent. And as you know, he passed away. So we got on the book, and we had loads of meetings all over the country: St George's Park, Wembley, Yorkshire, Consett, Sunderland Academy, the Beacon, everywhere, and spent a lot of time. But when he took ill, he just finished the framework of the book, and he'd got the chapters set out, but obviously his health had interfered with his work, and he passed on, and then obviously we couldn't do anything straight after that. So the editor we put up to be the writer, and so it's been a long time in the making, with COVID, of course, being an ingredient in it. But we've now got a book which has got 150,000 words with 400 pages with small typeset. So it's £20 and it's a lovely looking book. I think you'd agree with that.
It is definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's something very special. So obviously we've been reviewed by the national press, and we've got rave reviews from really like this, because a lot of football books say we won on Saturday, then we drew on Tuesday, and we got beat the following Saturday. And this is a bit more than that. Plus, I think I've been in football at the biggest change ever, particularly early on, when it was at its all-time low in the 1980s, where it was very, very low, you know, with hooliganism and stadiums, things like that, to the formation of the Premier League and on past that. So a really interesting time to be involved with football. It's come of age, really.
Working with Lance, obviously we know Lance quite well. He's been on the podcast a couple of times. We did a lot of work with him when he was publicising Tales from Red and Whites, the 3 books that I did with some of the club journalists as well. Mm-hmm. So we kind of, having read Sunderland Stoke in 1973, that kind of, it's almost like a seminal tome on that era. It's an incredible read. If people haven't read it before, it's well worth reading. So you kind of knew that you were, with Lance, you were getting a safe pair of hands almost. What was it like working with him for the short time that you had together?
Well, part of the family. You know, like, that was the problem. It was both emotional for us. You know, he came to stay with us at home. You know, we stayed overnight at St George's Park. When you're sharing your life with somebody, it's very intimate. You know, when you're asking things about relationships and things like that. Because it's been a difficult journey, because everything in the past wasn't good, you see. I'm human like anybody else, so I do have ups and downs, and I do have failures and successes. So the books brought a lot of that back. So it was quite emotional with Lance, and we've become very close with his widow, who is with us tonight, and his stepdaughter. And we've been involved with getting her life sorted as well. A bit. She's moved to Harrogate to be next to her sister, and we've been very much involved, making sure that's a good move. So it's been very, I mean, it's been like having a relation bereavement.
Mm. So having this experience of going back through your career, all the way back to right at the beginning, how much of it have you forgotten, and like how many kind of memories that you had to really coax out of there to add to the book?
It's a really good question. That I've had to remember things I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and I've dug up a lot of the things I've buried. So it's been, my wife's noticed it actually more than anything. She's been very sensitive to it. So yeah, it's been a bit testing that way, but it's very fulfilling to have to do the book. It's a legacy for me. My children love the book. My daughter-in-law cried, and my sister-in-law cried, and you know, they said, "Dad, I didn't know." Well, I couldn't have known everything, but they didn't know, and obviously they've got an immense amount out of it.
Mm-hmm. So there's bits in there that like, you probably wouldn't want to remember, but you kind of talk about it in such a matter-of-fact way without spoiling too much of it. There's early days where it's not going very well. Under McMenemy and obviously later days, but you kind of spat at in the director's box.
Yeah.
You just kind of put that as so matter-of-factly. If I was spat at,
you know,
that'd be pretty.
You know, if you're 20 years of a club that's as much loved as passionately as this club, you're not going to be winning every week. So you know, at some stages you're going to be quite vulnerable. You know, particularly moving grounds, that was very testing time. But then obviously at the end, when I say I'd do it all again, I wouldn't have penned out Wilkinson. So
Yeah.
you know, so I don't. You know, the fact is that if I had the honour to be chairman of the club for 20 years, I'd do it again.
Was that the subtitle of the book that didn't make the cut?
Yeah.
But not Howard Wilkinson.
That's I was going to come on to that later on. Obviously, when you say you do it again, there's mistakes you make, and in this book you're very open about those mistakes you made. It's a bit of a difference to some books, are a little bit more sugar coated and areas of the club's history, and you presided over a pretty tumultuous period from well, it was 1986 when you became chairman, and 2006 when you left.
That's right.
And what you did leave was a legacy that Sir Tom Cowie probably didn't leave.
Well,
for you,
probably. Well, it's difficult for him, because you're talking old-fashioned town football. You know, I think Leslie sticks up for me, and she say, "Look at the club I took and look at the club I left," and then the sugar on the cake is this. because I've done this since I left. And, so that's, I get a lot back, On Saturday I was looking at this club who's been neglected for 12 years and unloved. It lost a generation. And I'm looking at the club on Saturday and there's 46,000. It's free on TV. And there's so many women and children in our crowd, It's a very vibrant, live club. And I think that's wonderful.
I think, you mentioned that there, and that's something that obviously I, as a young kid, was 5 when the stadium was built, and you're almost kind of getting that again now with the 5-year-olds now. Not the stadium isn't being built again, obviously, but I remember walking into the stadium for the first time in that Manchester City game and just being like, this is not, obviously I've been to Roker Park, and I think we did lose a generation, we did, and I think the football club, for all it still has faults, is loved again. Yeah, I think universally loved by everyone.
Yeah.
So when
you got your club back.
Yeah, that's how a lot of the time it feels. I mean, sometimes we're tested. Going 4-0 down to a club 20 miles down the road feels.
Yeah, but the referee did that to you.
He did.
Yeah. It wasn't it wasn't Tony. It's just football's a bit like that.
Yeah. It's just nice that it's not going to be 6 months or a year or 2 years of these crippling lows. That the highs aren't that far around the corner again. It's a lot how it was under your tenure in the late 1990s. And that was a golden generation. You speak about it a lot in your books. You compare yourself to being like the chairman of Manchester United at times because you knew, and it was the only time in your career that you allowed yourself to become that a little bit arrogant, and that driving into the game you're like, we're going to win this.
Well, that was when we lost the playoffs, and I wanted to keep the team together. Wouldn't let anybody leave, and not that they wanted to leave. The lads were very, very good, and that season, I just felt like Man United. Just that it was how many we're going to win by. I think we lost 2 games out of 46.
Yeah, it was an incredible season. I thought it was going to, that was my second full season. I was like, it's great.
It's going to be like this.
And then the 2 seasons after, we were really holding our own in the Premier League. It was like, it's going to be like this forever. This is great.
That's one of Gareth's stories when he started going to the matches regularly at Roker Park, and when it got really good at the stadium, his dad kind of had to pull him and say, it's not always going to be like this, and boy was he proved right on that. But going back to the start of the timeline, the book itself follows a linear timeline, which most books do, but I think it really cleverly has the club ticking away in the background while you're growing up and going through your formative experience. Then the 2 timelines converge in 1984 when you first started to invest in the club and you were added to the board of directors.
Yeah.
At that point, I think it's really clear that you really felt that weight of responsibility and the kind of sense of duty of being a custodian of the club and a representative of the club. Was doing the right thing something that's been really important to you through your time?
I was brought up right. Trying to do things right, and I'm an accountant by profession, so that teaches you what's right or wrong. And obviously I came here, put something back, not take something out. So, it's been easy to do. In my time, I can honestly say that the club was held in the highest esteem in the game. We didn't have any of this Johnson stuff or anything. Anybody did anything wrong, it was dealt with. And the club always came first. Even John Fickman, people like that, they always put the club first.
When you came into the club, the Roker Park was on its way. You were reducing the capacity. What seemed to be every week, making gangways wider, taking seats out. The Roker end was kind of a symbol of that because that reduced that would probably be nothing now because that would probably almost certainly have the concrete that seems to be taking all the schools down. That would be rife, asbestos, everything would be going on. Yeah. And then the training ground at the same time was
well, we had a field where the academy is now. And it had 2 goalposts, and that was it. The surface was rubbish. There's no changing, no water, no wind protection. It was archaic. And that team played in what is the Premiership. And the lads would get changed at Roker Park, drive down there in their own cars, get muddy, and drive back and go in the bath at Roker Park.
It's crazy.
You know, every day of the week.
So when you came in, when you had that vision, how achievable did you think it would be, and what kind of timescale had you kind of set in your mind? First of all, move stadium.
Well, I never foresaw the stadium move. I didn't think I'd ever have to build a ground. I wasn't that clever. But I was there with the change of the Premier League, and the football was so old-fashioned, badly run. People wouldn't see it as a career other than playing and managing, obviously. It was a forgotten industry, really. You know, companies didn't want to be associated with it because of the hooligans and everything. I mean, Roker Park had 23,000. The year that Dennis Smith took us up, we sold it out twice. And then I knew if it was all seater, it would be 14,000. It cost millions to do. So it was a no-brainer. We had to move.
So moving plans were kind of well established early 90s, and it looked pretty likely that the plans were definitely drawn up for a move to land just next to the Nissan factory in Washington. Which I was delighted about at the time because I lived in Washington, so I thought
that's all right.
It's halving my journey. And
that was good for me.
No, I didn't know you then. Plus, you weren't even born.
I wasn't born
at this point. But then that change was made. Nissan suddenly were a friend of the club. Then they changed their mind and said, actually, this is going to be bad.
They didn't want logistically just in time. They went hostile. So they rang number 10 up straight away. And I knew then it was dead. But that was going to be funded by European money, that stadium.
I remember there was a sign up. There definitely was a sign up off that bit of land saying land acquired for Sunderland Stadium, European money.
It was a perfect site if you wanted an out-of-town one.
And I remember seeing the plans. We had a tour of Roker Park in must have been early 90s, and the stadium was in a big glass box on the table in the boardroom, and everyone was like, "Ooh."
Did it look the same as the Stadium of Light?
No. It looked like
little Wembley.
Yeah. It didn't have corners. It had like executive boxes on the corners, I think.
Yeah.
But I remember it was like quite pink. Right. We're digressing now. But I definitely remember the Twin Towers because we called it the Wembley of the North. But that was in your mind. You couldn't stay at Roker Park.
Well, I had to move because I've got the football licensing authority saying by a certain date you have to be all-seater or you don't get a licence. So they were very good to me. They believed in me, and they extended. And they were really, really good. It was Lord Justice Taylor, and so we had to do it. It was law. You wouldn't get a safety certificate if you didn't do it.
With the land that you managed to acquire for the Stadium Light, which is the land we're on now, you had a blank sheet of paper. And what kind of did you use all of the knowledge that you had from your previous careers?
Well, I've done a lot of building. Yeah, so I've done a lot of building in my life. So obviously I know the team you have to assemble. You know the procedure of building, the sequence, the funding, everything like that. But it was the stock exchange that made us give us the money for the stadium, and it was the Sky deal that gave the money for the academy.
It's quite when the club went through its last but one sale when Ella Short sold up to forgotten
Stuart Donald.
Stuart Donald. When that sale was going through, it was just really surprised that at no point since had the club ever secured any loans against the stadium, against the academy. That what was being sold was quite a decent proposition, and it's crazy. And you mentioned it a couple of times in the book that what you sold to Niall Quinn was £10 million, and it was a little bit of player debt, but nothing.
There's no debt on the stage.
Yeah.
The club turned over £4 million the year before we started the stadium. We lost £1 million. So to get a £20 million stadium was a bit ambitious. So we took all the money from the stock exchange, issued some new shares. We took a hit on dilution. We owned a lot less, and the club got all the money. Then when we did the Sky deal, we did the same thing to pay for the academy. So we didn't have any debt. No mortgage, no nothing. So all the money went on the playing side.
It really surprised me that the club had not become so saddled with debt when that could have been quite an easy road to go down.
I don't think it's got much debt today, to be truthful. compared to most.
It would have changed the complex of everything, wouldn't it, though, if it had? I mean,
Yeah.
like, if someone investing in something that's got all of a sudden millions of pounds of debt on the buildings and the things as well becomes a totally different proposition.
Where did the charitable element, when you've got all the moving pieces in your head of need a training ground, need a football stadium to match?
Well, in the late 80s, we started to call it a caring club, and that went down very badly. So I wanted to open the club up, you see, it being a bit of a closed shop. So when we won the 3rd Division Championship, we charged £1 for a picture of the trophy on the Polaroid. So you could come in, you could have a picture of you holding the trophy for £1. And I sold 39,000 of those photographs.
Wow.
I wonder how many people have the
same
picture from...
Yeah.
Well, no, we wouldn't, because we didn't win the first. We
and
didn't.
then we started, and then I think we played in Cambridge, and we used to get 14,000. Then all of a sudden we played Cambridge, and we got 19,000. And that was because we had 5,000 school kids and parents into the clock stand. So we started to open it up. The PFA started football in the community, Gordon Taylor, and we were one of the first to do it, where you had some ex-players and you had some community work going in the community. And then we used to let ladies in for £1. And some of the lads came down with balloons up the jumpers, and we let them in for £1. So we were trying to, Stroker Park was a very male old crowd and wanted to do it. So we started to do this, and child back and pound back and all this over the decades. So in 2001, about 14 years later, we started the foundation. But a little clever thing I did there, I wanted it outside of the club. It's nothing to do with the club other than we get the crest, and the chair of the club is allowed to be a trustee, but it's totally independent.
Yeah.
Which was good when Al Short was around, because he tried to close it.
He wasn't... You're quite open in the book about that he didn't really support this facility that we're sitting in now, the Beacon of Light.
I went to London to see him with Leslie Spule, the chief exec, and I asked him, did he want to be part of this, because I think I should have offered him to be part of this. And he went wild. He absolutely went wild with me.
What do you think is opposition
Club's
to it?
never put a penny in here. The old club. They got this, which is a fantastic asset for them to do commercial deals and all this. And the old club has never put a penny in.
The bridges are being built now. I say literally there's a bridge being built.
Yeah, they are on the
Is
bridge.
it coming on, is it?
I think they've done the footings for it.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff's closed around it, and you can't get near the site now. So I think it's certainly underway. Yeah.
It's going to be great when that comes in. But you've built bridges with the club as well. The club have kind of extended a bit of an olive branch now, and it happened a little bit.
It's sensible that we work together.
Yeah, I mean you've got the geographical link, but you've also got an umbilical cord between.
It's crazy that it wouldn't. Like when you think it's crazy that the club wouldn't want to be part of something.
They've got a new commercial guy from America who's Sunderland born, and he's really quite regular. And we're starting to share databases, and we're having meetings, so we know what they're doing, they know what we're doing. We're running the ladies' side for them on football. We're doing things together all the time, increasingly so. Kirill's a trustee now.
You've got the regional talent centre for the ladies' team, which is providing the pathway for the young girls coming through school, and they're coming in.
I think we've had that for 20 years, haven't we?
Well, the literal kind of pathway to you can see for all the world to see the fact that there's so much Sunderland talent within that England squad, but the Beacon have been working hard to kind of make sure there's more of those, but they stay in Sunderland.
Yeah.
They stay at Sunderland.
Yeah, it hasn't
happened.
Yeah, we were worried we might lose that regional centre to Newcastle recently, but we've managed to retain it.
Taking it to the present day, as we have, do you enjoy watching Sunderland now?
Yeah, I like this team. I like the youngsters. I like why they're here. At the end, I had some really bad experience with people like Flo and Redgard and Nunes and many others like that, where they didn't want to be in Sunderland after the first day. So it's really nice to see these lads here. I can identify with this team. I think it's the best set of lads we've had for a very, very, very long time.
I was just about to say that in my lifetime, I was born 2004, so all I've seen as a Sunderland fan is just doom and gloom. Like Matt said, his early days were good, but mine's just all been doom and gloom until now. This is the first time we've had some sort of positive forward-thinking strategy. So, yes, obviously it's got its flaws. I mean, you can critique it, but you can definitely see the vision that they're moving forward with that.
Recruitment's very good. The ethics of the players is very good. They work hard. They're honest. There's many pluses.
What do you think of Mowbray? Is he the sort of manager that you'd?
Well, he's he's what you see is what you get. He lives in the northeast.
Yeah.
He's had a very distinguished managerial career. He's always worked.
Yeah.
Like Steve Gibson speaks very highly of him. He's honest and hard working, very good with young players.
Yeah.
I think at the stage of the club's development, I think he's perfect. At the stage of the club's development.
Yeah, I do. I think he's great.
He gets the area, gets the mentality of the people, gets that. People live, breathe live and breathe football.
Very good with the press as well. Which not all managers are.
No.
I think it was someone mentioned the other day that he does about an hour with the press, and you look at
He talks them to death.
It's the press looking to move it on.
Because how time up yet.
Yeah, they're tapping their watches. Yeah. So obviously we're under ownership of the last 2 years or so with Kirill Louis-Dreyfus and his co-owners. As a fan, what have you made of the owners after you've vacated the hot seat?
Well, I'll not say anything more about Alice Shaw.
No, it's very, you cover it very well.
Yeah, you should read the book, and that's after the lawyer's taken a lot out as well. So, but the other two lads were chancellors, and I think they've made money out of it, I would suspect.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about earlier on the weight of responsibility, that sense of duty that you feel, do you think the new guys have got that?
Yeah, definitely he gets it. Kirill gets it. He understands he's in a trustee position, and he loves the club. He loves the people, and he's quite a quiet lad, very intelligent, competent. His brother's lovely, Maurice. They're from a really good family, and they've got football history in them. So I think we've all seen his commitment to it, and he's investing all over the club. It mightn't be apparent, but he is, and he's got a vision for the future. I'll do anything for him to help him succeed, because he's got a very, very hard job.
Do you watch games as a fan, or do you watch them as a former chairman? How do you watch games?
What a good question. I watch them as a fan.
How long did it take you to do that? After 2006?
Very quick. Very quick. When you're chairman, you might have a very able and committed board of directors, but the buck stops with you. Everybody looks to you. That's the way it is. It's nothing strange. That's football.
So you're not sitting there going sack the manager, or you
no.
to change, make a substitution.
No, I'm not that. In fact, no matter what if Short was here, the chances, I would never say anything derogatory.
Yeah,
I'd never say. As a matter of fact, when Niall came in, and I had Niall for 9 years, I didn't come to many home games that year because I didn't want to be around. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to, say it. So I only answer questions if I'm asked. I don't offer advice or opinion. I only answer if I'm asked.
Do you get asked?
A little bit. By Kirill. Kirill would say, when he was going to appoint Tony, asked for an opinion. So that was nice.
Yeah. So are you enjoying the role that you have now within the Beacon? Is that in some ways more fulfilling than?
I've had my go. I'm not one of these that I'll tell you so. I'm not one of them. I've seen people put on the Sunderland shirt who shouldn't have been in the city. In shorts rain and that. It's been horrendous to watch some of those players pull the shirt on.
Yeah.
It's been horrendous. That stadium wasn't built for them.
Yeah.
And it's been heartbreaking to watch them struggle to get beat by Burton Albion. There's nothing wrong with Burton Albion, There's nothing wrong with Burton Albion, but it shows it's showing its benchmark for our club, how far it's fallen.
It felt surreal being in that situation when we've got, you'd look back at games where we'd fill the stadium against Chelsea and beat them handsomely. Then we've got Cheltenham or
but that's the fall being phenomenal.
It was remarkable. I think the saddest thing really was that Burton game was almost like the apathy. Really,
yeah.
I just sort of went to the pub and was like, we've been relegated to third division. And when we stayed there for 4 years, it was.
But there's no given right, you see.
No, there isn't.
No.
I mean, it's not
which is the great thing about football. But I didn't build this or that to be in that league. I didn't do that.
With the amount of protests and of abuse that you got a load of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
You had protests from all corners, and there was the yellow card protest, and people would chant that. How much of effect did that have on you? Did it not make you ever think, why do I bother?
Yeah, but I've only got one club. I haven't got when I came out of the chair, I got offered loads of chairmanships. Honestly, I was inundated with chairmanships and things like that. Not to buy the club, but, just to front the club and things like that. You can't do it. You've got to love the club. There's only one club for me. But I knew I was doing the right thing for the right. We went through unbelievable financial pressure when Peter went because he'd wasted that much money. It was horrendous. We had these wages that were phenomenal for people that didn't cross the white line and were never going to cross the white line, and nobody else wanted. We had to deal with that. That was really difficult, wasn't it, Leslie? It was hardship, massive hardship. And but I think if you're doing something and you believe you're doing it for the right reason and you're giving it your best, I didn't have anything to worry about or things like that. I'd rather not be unpopular as that, but I could understand the frustration in that.
Yeah.
But people are very kind to me nowadays.
I think this book probably sets the record straight for a lot of people who, you hear it quite a lot. Shouldn't have built the North Stand extension. You'll have heard that so many times.
Oh.
What's the other one?
Second place at Christmas.
Second place at Christmas. Yeah, people just say second place at Christmas. That's been allowed to kind of go unchecked for quite a long time.
Yeah, but if you read that and you look at the facts of who we signed and what we paid for them, and what a horrendous failure they were. It's such a shame for Peter, really. I don't think he recovered from that personally. He's,
You look at managers that come into the club, they never seem to go on to better things after here.
No.
Well, Killer said to us, the other month when the manager left for Stoke, he said, what did you do, Sir Bob, when that happened? And I said, it never happened to me, I had to sack them all.
Yeah, that is true. They never go on to any bigger or better things. This is always they're always recognised. They should recognise at the time that it's probably the biggest place they'll ever play or manage at.
Well, like Mick McCarthy's always made a living in the game. Obviously, he's retired now. He's one of these guys that can manage at championship level. A bit old-fashioned. It's very difficult to get a manager at Roker Park. No facilities, no money. Really difficult to do that. Here, it's far easier. I mean, it's been like revolving doors, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the number of managers has been through that door.
Oh, it was insane. It was like, who wants to go next?
I didn't, to be truthful, in my role as chair here, I never made an effort to speak to them because I knew they wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
It wasn't worth my time. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I didn't get to know. Obviously, I know Martin and Neil because he goes back to my time, and he's a Sunderland fan deep down. But I mean, I didn't bother myself. I was speaking to Tony last Thursday because I wanted to do a function here, and he's up for it. But I spoke to him about it. Hopefully, he's here a while. But I wouldn't bother.
Yeah,
I wouldn't bother, honestly. I wouldn't go down there for a cup of tea.
We're going to close up soon because we're aware that you
needs a little break before tonight.
Yeah, because you're going to be doing a lot of talking in tonight's event. So we'll go back to the name of the title of the book. I'd do it again. What's the one thing that you would have done differently?
Howard Wilson. That was the easy one. But there's other things. There's other things I would have done different. Like I wouldn't have applied to Malcolm Crosby if I'd had the nice lad, Malcolm. He's a lovely lad. But, I knew we wouldn't manage. It's bad enough getting them if they manage. But when you know they're going to appoint them, when you know they're not going to manage. But I just had the world on my shoulders because you'd be too young to know, but we stayed up. I think we drove at Blackburn midweek game. Because here I am, I'm going to Wembley and I'm going to be at the cup final and be in third division. Because we had the cup team and the league team. The cup team won all the games. The league team lost all the games. That was surreal. And I knew that Bracewell was running the team and it wasn't Malcolm. But the week before the cup final, but that I knew next season was a write-off.
Yeah.
Because the nice lad and that, but he's not a manager.
But not any other massive regrets from your time. Just Wilkinson, which is...
Well, he's an outstanding example of getting it wrong. I did all the right reasons. He won the league with Leeds United. He's a FA technician, caretaker manager in England, a disciplinarian. He wanted Cottrell to come with Steve. It was 100% wrong.
I had no idea that they didn't know each other.
Neither did we.
I took him on and because
I told everybody else.
I thought they were back to back at the FA.
The way you said he told you he wanted to bring him.
Yeah.
There was like a master and apprentice kind of storyline at the time. Like
I remember being at the same hall and I'm bringing them up and saying, I've just gone down to the same hall to talk to Howard, and I was just saying it's really good that you've known each other a long time. He said, I just met him for the first time.
Oh, good.
But they both wanted the job. That was the problem from day one.
Very small things I'd do it. Like, what do you think of calling clubs in the city?
I think because I was like well aware of the city coming into fruition in 1992 when it was named a city by the Queen. I think everyone in the city is pretty proud of it, but at the same time, I think they're even prouder of the club. So I think it would have. I don't think it would have got past the fans. But
and there's the Princess
Diana Stadium. Yeah, I think that might have got past the fans. It's Princess Diana Stadium.
It might have that moment in time because of the outcome, but it would have been right for the
great now.
2023, you'd been wondering why it was called that.
Yeah,
Run out
exactly. Yeah. So the book is out tomorrow, 12th of October. All proceeds go to the foundation, and they're available from the Foundation Flight website. You're also doing a book signing on Friday.
Yes.
So looking forward to kind of reacquainting yourself with the supporters again. I guess you see supporters all the time, but
yeah, that's fantastic.
Great. Well, thanks very much for your time, Sir Bob.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck with your show on that.
Thanks very much.
Good.
Well, there we have it. Thank you very much to Sir Bob Murray and the Foundation of Light for setting up that interview. Really kind of wide-ranging chat. We only had half an hour, but and also his voice was getting a little bit weak, and he had an evening due to do. So the scope of ground that we could cover was quite curtailed. But thanks all the same. The book, which we've all read, is a really, really interesting read, and it's well worth having a look at. It's £20, as we say in the pod. All proceeds go to the Foundation of Light. That's every single penny. So Sir Bob has covered the costs of printing and publishing and marketing the book himself. So every single penny of that £20 will be going to improving the lives of people around the region. So it's a really worthy cause. We're going to be back later on next week probably to preview the resumption of Championship football. But for now, thanks very much for listening.